In our digital age, the specter of nuclear weapons might seem to be the ultimate threat, a roaring symbol of destructive power capable of ending civilization. But there is another weapon, a ghost in the machine, silent and invisible, that is wielded every day and whose impact can wipe entire nations off the economic and political map. This weapon is the cyber attack. Today's wars are no longer confined to armies and tanks. They have bled into the realm of digital shadows. The combatants in this war are hackers, unseen phantoms who possess the godlike ability to paralyze a nation's entire infrastructure from behind a computer screen. Their power has swelled to the point where superpowers like the United States might find themselves forced to negotiate with them, not at a diplomatic table, but in the lawless, dark alleys of the Internet. To truly grasp the scale of this power, we must examine a story that is not fiction, a story whose hero, or anti-hero, was a British boy not yet 16 years old, a boy who, from his small bedroom, managed to breach the world's most formidable intelligence agency and plunge a superpower into a state of absolute chaos. But first, the origin. The story of hacking itself ignited in 1955 in the laboratories of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. There, the first hack in history took place. It wasn't meant for destruction, but was a simple scientific dare to test the limits of the Institute's internal system. The result was a shockwave. The system was vulnerable. That was the first spark, revealing a fatal flaw that would forever change the very nature of conflict. Over the decades, this concept mutated from an academic experiment into a global weapon. Today, the world of hacking is fractured into three main armies, each with its own cryptic goals and shadowed ethics. 1. The White Hats. They are the anointed guardians of the digital world. They work with governments and mega-corporations as a formal electronic army. Their mission to erect firewalls and engineer advanced security programs to repel assaults. Yet, they are also the ones who launch state-sanctioned cyber attacks on behalf of their countries. The perpetual digital duel between Russia and the United States is a prime example of their work. But the line between protection and aggression is a razor's edge. The Israeli Electronic Army, classified in the West as White Hats, stands accused of hacking and extorting global figures and breaching international systems. 2. The Gray Hats. These are the lone wolves, the vulnerability hunters. They prowl a gray zone between legal and illegal. They belong to no government and might breach your system merely to prove they can, and then vanish without a trace. Many are mercenaries for cybersecurity firms. A financial titan like J.P. Morgan, with annual profits exceeding $200 billion, faces over 500,000 breach attempts daily. To defend its kingdom, the bank hires firms that employ gray hats to relentlessly assault its own systems, discovering vulnerabilities before real enemies can find them. 3. The Black Hats. These are the heart of our dark tale. They operate in absolute shadow, driven by money, chaos, or twisted ideology. They are the architects of the devastating attacks we hear about in whispers and headlines. They are the ones who hold the power to bring the world to a grinding, silent standstill. In May 2021, they proved it. Life in 18 American states ground to a halt. The cause wasn't a war or a cataclysm, but a cyber attack targeting the Colonial Pipeline, the very artery that supplies the East Coast with 2.5 million barrels of fuel daily. Planes, cars, and supply chains, the pulse of a nation, stopped. The hackers, the Black Hats, demanded a ransom of $30 million. Here, the United States faced two terrifying choices: either pay the ransom and broadcast its weakness to every cybercriminal lurking in the dark, or refuse and face weeks of economic paralysis while repairing the system at a cost of $75 million. They chose the harder, more expensive path to preserve their prestige. This attack was merely a chilling glimpse into the power of the Black Hats. But the most shocking story isn't about a professional crime syndicate. It's about a boy. Our real story begins here. From the outside, Cain Gamble was just another quiet teenager in the small British town of Colville. His teachers described him as polite, a nice lad. But behind the closed door of his bedroom, a digital warlord was being forged. He had no mentor, no guide. The vast, chaotic expanse of the internet was his only teacher. 8 hours a day, he wasn't playing games, he was studying the digital battlefield. In 2015, at the age of 15, his self-taught education turned into a crusade. Fueled by a burning rage against U.S. foreign policy and a fierce sympathy for the Palestinian cause, Cain Gamble declared a one-man war. He wasn't after money, he was after something far dangerous: humiliation. He wanted to prove that the most powerful men in the world were not gods, but fools. He adopted the handle Cracker and formed a small online collective, Crackers with Attitude. Their goal was audacious and seemingly impossible: to hack the highest levels of U.S. intelligence and leak their data. Their message, often plastered under the banner of #FreePalestine, was a chilling one: if you are watching us, we are also watching you. Their weapon of choice was not a complex virus, but the oldest trick in the book: the human voice. Their plan was shockingly simple. Through basic social engineering, they found personal information on James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence. They discovered his wife's name, his phone number, everything they needed. Then Gamble picked up the phone. Posing as Clapper himself, he called Verizon and, with stunning confidence, convinced the help desk to reset the director's password. Once inside, the gates to America's kingdom of secrets swung open. But they didn't stop there. They reached the apex of the pyramid: CIA Director John Brennan. Again, Gamble took to the phone. This time, he pretended to be a Verizon technician. He called AOL and, step by step, tricked the employee into revealing Brennan's personal security questions. With the answers in hand, he gained control of Brennan's personal email account. From his small bedroom, Gamble was now reading the private emails of the head of the CIA. He found a 47-page document that Brennan had filled out to get his top-secret security clearance. It contained everything: his social security number, the details of his family, his past addresses, even the phone numbers of other senior intelligence officials. Then came the ultimate act of audacity. They called Brennan's home. They taunted his wife. They called his mobile phone directly and mocked him. When an official asked what they wanted, one of them replied with a laugh, $20 trillion? America was turned upside down. Gamble and his group created a list of shame, publicly releasing the personal details of over 20,000 FBI agents, including their names, job titles, email addresses, and phone numbers. They hijacked the Twitter account of the Director of National Intelligence and posted taunts. They even managed to get into the FBI's own computer systems, downloading intelligence on ongoing investigations. The state of terror was so palpable that the Pentagon was forced to launch an urgent top-to-bottom security review of its highest-ranking officials, terrified of what a group of teenagers might seize next. Faced with this unprecedented humiliation, the government launched a massive global manhunt. The FBI and British intelligence raced against time. The fall, when it came, wasn't from a brilliant counter-hack, but from the simple reality that a ghost in the machine still has a physical body. In February 2016, British anti-terrorism police smashed through the door of a small family home in Colville. They found Kane Gamble, not as a menacing phantom, but as a stunned 16-year-old boy. He and other members of his group were arrested. The trial revealed the shocking scale of his one-man operation. The court heard recordings of his phone calls, where this polite schoolboy transformed into an authoritative American official. Prosecutors called him a cyber-terrorist. His defense lawyer argued he was an immature and naive boy who never intended to harm anyone, only to cause embarrassment. The judge, sentencing him to 2 years in a youth detention center, called him the leader of a nasty cyber campaign of terror. After serving his sentence, Kane Gamble vanished from the public eye. His story, however, sent a permanent shockwave through the intelligence community, forcing a complete and desperate overhaul of their most basic security protocols. The story of Kane Gamble is more than a tale about a teenage hacker. It is a mirror of our age, an age where the most formidable weapon is not a nuclear warhead, but a simple phone call, where power is no longer measured in armies, but in the ability to command the flow of information. And in this new war, the most dangerous person on Earth may not be a general in a war room, but a brilliant, angry young man in his bedroom, holding the keys to the digital kingdom.